Welcome to the deep dive. So, for those of you keeping an eye on medical breakthroughs, nanobots isn't just sci-fi anymore, is it?
Not at all. It's really becoming a reality and fast.
Yeah, we're talking about these tiny, tiny machines that could just completely change healthcare.
Yeah.
So today, we're gonna, take a good look at this incredible leap forward. The huge promise, yes, but also, maybe more importantly, the big ethical questions that come with it.
And what's really striking, I think, is just the sheer speed. How quickly this is moving from, the lab into potential clinical use.
Right.
It means we have to pay attention to the ethics, like right now.
Yeah.
You look at the market numbers, what was it, $10.6 billion in 2022?
Yeah.
And projected to hit over $31 billion by 2030. That's explosive growth. It tells you this is integrating fast.
That speed really does underscore why we need this conversation.
Yeah.
So our mission then for this deep dive is exploring both sides, right? The amazing potential and the serious risks of nanobots in medicine. We've looked at some really fascinating sources, and we want to pull out the key insights for you, help you navigate this really complex field and understand what's really at stake here.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's properly start with the nanobot revolution. For listeners who follow nanomedicine, we're not just talking about passive nanoparticles. These are programmable micro-robots.
Right, often built using things like DNA origami or tiny integrated circuits. They're designed to do specific things.
And the scale is just mind-boggling.
Okay.
50 to 100 nanometers. That's smaller than most viruses.
It's incredibly sophisticated engineering, really. Molecular level stuff. And it's not just about being small, it's the precision it allows.
Okay.
These machines can navigate inside the body with a specificity we just couldn't achieve before. They offer solutions right down at the cellular level.
So what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, think about it. Instead of chemo that hits healthy cells too, imagine nanobots delivering the drug only to the tumor. Or internal diagnostic spotting, say, early signs of Alzheimer's years before symptoms show up.
That's huge.
It's not just better treatment, it's a totally different way of thinking about health monitoring and intervention. It's a genuine paradigm shift. Science fiction really is becoming clinical reality here.
That potential is it's staggering. A real game changer for so many diseases. But as you start looking closer, that power, well, it raises some deep questions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
With great power comes great responsibility, as they say. So let's dig into the ethics of it all, because this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Agreed. Where do we start?
Well, first things first. When you think about putting these microscopic things inside us, what's the immediate hurdle? What are the first concerns about, keeping patients safe?
Yeah, the number one concern has to be health risks and patient safety. Fundamentally, these nanobots are engineered nanoparticles.
Right.
And nanoparticles have these unique abilities to get into cells, cross barriers like the blood-brain barrier, in ways bigger things can't.
Which is good for therapy.
Exactly, that's key to their potential. But it also means we don't fully understand their long-term toxicity. Could they build up? Could they cause cancer down the line? We just don't know for sure yet.
And that makes testing them tricky, I imagine.
Extremely tricky. It creates huge challenges for clinical trials. Some risks might only show up really late in testing, phase 3, maybe even only after they're approved and widely used. That's the worry.
Can you give us a specific example where this tension plays out?
Sure. Think about nanobots built into heart stents. The idea is amazing, right? They could monitor for new blockages or inflammation in real time.
Yeah, preventing heart attacks.
Potentially. But we have these critical unknowns about how the body, especially sensitive heart tissue, reacts long term. What about the immune system response over years or decades? These aren't small details. They're fundamental safety issues that need really careful, ongoing research.
Okay, so the biological reaction, the long-term safety, that's a big unknown. And if we're uncertain about that, well, that leads straight to informed consent, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
How can doctors possibly explain these super complex nanobots and the unknown risks well enough for a patient to give truly informed consent?
It's a massive communication challenge. There's a real cognitive load,
Yeah.
Trying to grasp the science. How do you convey that uncertainty accurately? You don't want to scare people unnecessarily, but you also can't give false hope.
Tricky balance.
Very. It demands a whole new level of transparency. And beyond just understanding the tech, there's this deeper question our sources raise about autonomy under surveillance.
Autonomy under surveillance. That sounds concerning. What does that mean in the context of nanobots?
Well, take the example of trackable nanodrugs, maybe for psychiatric care.
Okay.
They could help ensure someone takes their medication or monitor their condition closely, which could be beneficial.
Right, for their health.
Yes, but it also kind of blurs the line between treatment and just constant monitoring. From the inside,
Ah.
does that impact personal freedom? If you know you're being tracked internally 24/7, do you still feel truly autonomous? Does it change how you feel about yourself, your choices? It's a really profound question.
Yeah, that's a heavy thought. And it connects directly to the next big issue: privacy, data security, and AI integration.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of used to our watches tracking steps, maybe heart rate, but nanobots inside you, linked to AI, maybe the Internet of Things, creating these huge networks, collecting biological data from within our bodies. What does that mean for privacy?
Yeah, and connecting this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about a data breach like we think of now, like losing credit card info.
Yeah.
This is potentially about someone getting access to your intimate biological data, not just your current health, but maybe your genetic predispositions, future vulnerabilities, things you might not even know yourself yet.
So it's predictive.
Exactly. It shifts privacy from protecting what is to protecting what could be. It really redefines medical autonomy.
That's a really key distinction. What other risks are there with this level of data collection?
Well, obviously, there's the potential for unauthorized surveillance, not just where you are, but maybe monitoring your habits, your behaviors through biological markers. It's potentially an omnipresent surveillance.
Wow.
And then there's biometric misuse. Could your genetic or biometric data be used to discriminate against you for insurance, for jobs,
Right.
or even just used commercially without you really knowing or consenting? This is data at the most fundamental personal level you can imagine.
That is a lot to think about. And like with any big technological leap, you have to ask who gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the fourth challenge: equity and access. Who actually benefits from these amazing but likely expensive treatments?
And that's a critical question. The initial outlook. Well, it might be a bit grim, honestly. The costs involved in developing and making these nanobot therapies are likely to be very high. Meaning they could, at first anyway, be mainly available to wealthier people or those in richer countries, which could just make existing global health disparities even worse.
You mentioned a UN projection.
Yeah, the sources point out the UN projects 5 billion people will lack essential health care by 2030.
5 billion.
Right, so if these incredible nanomedical advances become just another luxury item for the privileged, well, that's a huge ethical failing, isn't it? We really need proactive policies to think about fair distribution, about affordability right from the start.
Otherwise, we risk creating an even wider gap between the health haves and have-nots.
Precisely. A two-tiered system globally.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful tech moving fast with major questions about safety, consent, privacy, equity. That leads us to the final challenge.
Yeah.
Regulation and governance.
Yeah, are the rules keeping up?
Exactly. Is our regulatory system ready for this?
The short answer is probably not yet. Not fully. Existing frameworks, the FDA, similar bodies worldwide, they weren't really designed for the unique complexities and risks of nanobots.
So what's needed?
There's a strong call for coordinated global standards. This tech doesn't respect borders, so the regulations need to be international, covering safety, effectiveness, and ethical use. You can't really tackle this country by country.
It raises that classic question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you build the guardrails while the train's already speeding down the track?
That's exactly it. How do we balance the push for innovation, which is huge? The potential benefits are enormous with the need for caution.
What's the approach being suggested?
A lot of experts advocate strongly for the precautionary principle. Basically, be cautious when there's scientific uncertainty.
Yeah.
Advance carefully to avoid public backlash, which could actually stall good innovation, but more importantly, to prevent potentially irreversible harm to patients.
It feels a bit like the early days of gene therapy, maybe. Huge promise, but regulations and public understanding lagging behind.
That's a good comparison. It's like that, but maybe even more complex because these things are designed to integrate so intimately with our biology and at such a tiny scale.
This has been incredibly insightful. So let's try to wrap this up. What does this all mean for us, as these nanobots become more common in healthcare?
Yeah.
We've seen this almost unbelievable potential, right?
Yeah.
Saving lives, changing medicine fundamentally. But it clearly comes tangled up with these huge ethical duties.
Absolutely. It's a balancing act. We need constant ethical vigilance, patient safety, real informed consent, privacy, data security, fairness, and access, these aren't static issues. They have to evolve right alongside the
That
technologies.
it requires ongoing work.
Ongoing collaborative work.
Yeah.
International cooperation is key to getting this right, to making sure nanobots are integrated responsibly and, crucially, in a way that benefits everyone.
Not just a select few.
Exactly. The future here isn't just about can we build these amazing machines, it's about how we choose to use them. It really hinges on our collective commitment to ethical innovation that serves all of humanity.
So a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Yeah, maybe this. If we're smart enough to build machines that can heal us at the cellular level, are we wise enough to build the ethical systems alongside them? Systems that ensure they heal everyone safely, fairly, and respecting our autonomy? That, I think, is the question we all need to keep asking.